Hello, pivots of the internet, and welcome to this video where today I have realised saving a video to a hard drive with, or SSD in this case, with barely any space on it is not a good idea. Luckily, I hadn't really got into a video by that point. I'm currently trying to build a sports car of the 1960s that is also quite affordable. So we have a few bodies here we could use. I'm not going to build a Formula 1 car, that's for sure. There were a few affordable sports cars of the time period. No, I'm not going to build a limousine. Or a bendy bus. You know, there were a few sports cars back then that were affordable. There were MGs and Triumphs and such. We don't have Triumphs today, sports car or not. But Triumph did make... they did make sports cars, and they made things that weren't sports cars as well. Just ordinary cars. Is that an AMC Gremlin? I would love to build that as a sports car, but sadly I don't think it's going to be the lightest chassis here. These look like they might be a good platform to use. So many good platforms around this time. I like the idea of this, I think. If I can get one of these, say, and make it look really... I don't know what the term would be, mean? But I don't want it to look mean. I want it to look innocent and happy. I don't like mean looking cars. They make me upset. Now, fiberglass would be expensive. As I say, we want this to be affordable. Fiberglass or aluminium would be expensive. We can still get this car to be lightweight though. As long as it's, say, 750 kilos, I'll be happy. If I can get even less than that, I will be even happier than that. Maybe if I could go with something that's front wheel drive and barely makes any power, but weighs nothing. That's going to be my first point of call, I think. Just something that, you know, you can throw at a corner because there's nothing to it. Sadly, we don't actually seem to have torsion beam yet. I've set the year to 1969 in the top left-hand corner. You can hopefully see that. Oh, I'm on the front suspension. Well, that explains a lot, actually. You can get torsion beam. All the better for it for me, because torsion beam is lightweight, and it's still more advanced than leaf springs. So we're going to make a new engine here, and let's see what we can do. I think, as I say, we want it to be light, so all of our money is going to go into aluminium engine here. We'll go pushrod head, I think pushrod, or maybe overhead cam, but it's not going to be dual. Yeah, I think overhead cam, but not dual overhead cam or 4 valve per cylinder or anything, both of which were available technologies. We're not going to use either of those. We have to save money somewhere. And at least it's saving weight as well by going for just 2 valves per cylinder. 1.5 is quite big. I think what we want is something with a very, very high bore so we can rev it out. And actually, that's not going as I wanted it to. How does front longitudinal fit? Well, it doesn't allow me to have torsion beam on the back, or McPherson strut like rear longitudinal does. Try double wishbone then. It doesn't fit for front wheel drive, which was kind of the entire reason I was trying that. Right, I'm going to have to get creative here. And I'm going to have to... Oh, wait a minute. It seems like it's not having any problems fitting into the car now. No. For length, maybe it is in a bit of trouble. But not enough to cause problems. So I think if I can get this just under 1,000 cc's, or let's settle at 1,000 then. It's a nice compact engine, bigger than I would like. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's bigger than I would like, but even so, this is a very high revving kind of natured engine. We'll go with standard cast internals, but balancing a balancing shaft to make sure that this thingy can actually remain balanced. somewhat. I can't have a turbo. It's probably better for this anyway. We don't want fuel injection because it costs a lot of money. How about the carburetors? I think a single 4-barrel carburetor sounds sophisticated, but so we're going to have to make power somehow. And we can't go with multiple cowboys. Multiple cowboys? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Multiple carburetors. There we go. I think that's performance high RPM. We're going to go with regular leaded fuel, are we? Or unleaded, ethanol blend, compressed gas, all kinds of stuff. I think we were looking at cars beginning to change over to unleaded about this point. I could be wrong on that, but I do think that was where things were going. So what have we got? Tubular long. Some real technology in here. Put our catalytic converter on. And our mufflers. I wonder if we could just have one. Save the weight of a second muffler. And just have one better muffler. It's kind of loud. But it is a sports car. Would be my argument there. It doesn't make much power. Now, I'm going to just use the AI tune to get a base point here. See how much power we can get that way. Mind you, it is a 1 litre engine in the 60s. We can't expect too much from it. But, if we are not building this for fuel economy, likely we can take this further than we otherwise could. And my PC is being slow, as it sometimes is with this stuff. So I don't know. I'll have to go back to that screen. As I was trying to say before, though, before I got distracted. That's more of a coupe roof line. Much more what we want with a sports car. That's got a taller roof, and that's more of a saloon. That's a convertible. Well, that would work. And since we're going to be front-wheel drive, having a slightly lesser chassis shouldn't be as much of an issue. So bring this stuff back. Do we want rear seats, though? We could put rear seats on, mind. It's just, it would add weight, wouldn't it? I feel like if we go with this, I want the 62 coupe body here. Ooh, could do that. Certainly gives it an interesting look. I like it to be kind of like a saloon, but still a coupe. So, if we're looking at 1969, it will likely be a bit more squared off than earlier cars. That's just how things were going. Maybe cars weren't completely squared off back then, but they were squarer than the 50s cars and the earlier 60s cars. Which I personally prefer for design, but we have to bear in mind what the people buying these will be after. And then there was the oil crisis, and suddenly curves were in fashion again because they saved fuel. That looks good. Moving that out is just giving it a bit of a chin, maybe. I don't know, that's not a chin, but it looks a bit more squared off, I think, and that looks good to me. I don't know how I'm going to go about this. I know sealed beam headlights were a thing in America, and you had to have certain lights of a certain type, I mean. So you had to have a set size and they would have to conform to that regulation. So say these could be a couple of large headlights. The alternative was what a lot of the higher end American cars had, if you see. They had a set of 4 round headlights that were a little smaller than these. And that would personally be my preference. But the very fact that it was all standardised headlights. I love standardisation. I'm weird. I'd take standardisation over beauty. Maybe that's why I find those things so beautiful. But then, I don't know. My PC looks like a workstation from 2007, so do I have a right to talk about beauty? We're going to need a bumper at some point. Bumper bar. Let's see what you can provide us with. I think maybe just a simple bumper. We don't have to go crazy, but cars of this time period generally had bumpers. There were very few things that had nose cones and such, and they were usually Ferraris, which this just isn't. It's an ordinary sports car that can be bought by Joe Bloggs. If Joe Bloggs was alive in the 60s. So, we've got that. I feel like we could have some fog lights. I mean, yes, it's extra cost, but I believe that this car has the kind of level of luxury to afford those extra fog lights. I'm quite wanting them to just drop down from the bumper like that. Maybe then I can have a lip on the front, because you do see on a lot of the older muscle cars from the 60s they did have front lips. I'm not so sure they were very useful aerodynamically speaking, but they did have them. So, you know, they were quite possibly trying to do some aero, even if it wasn't very good. There we go. You can go down like so. So you line up with the bodywork exactly as we would desire. There we go. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. Actually made quite a good front end here. I know it's kind of lacking most of the front end, but still. I feel like this, if I just stretch it out there, stretch it up as well actually a little, and we're going to bring these forwards in front of it, maybe back one level so the lip can go in front of them along with the grille, not grille, sorry, the bumper. We want those to be first and foremost. And these lights here on the edge, these fog lights, they do seem to run a bit deep, so if I make them like this it should take some depth off them, and indeed it has. We have now more suitable depth regarding how they fit overall. It's not showing us how the engine fits though. I mean, it looks rear-engined at the moment, so I think for now I'll leave it as it is, just in case I do go rear-engined, but if I keep it front-engined, I will be sure to just add a grille there. I quite like it though. Nice petite little design. We've got front wheel drive, it's the only thing we can go with. 5 speeds were very much a thing in the 60s, but if we're trying to make this cheap, we do not want to go with Ferrari, Lamborghini levels of transmissionry. We want to go with a 4-speed. And then there's a clutched LSD, but also that would have been quite expensive, and I don't think we really need one with the kind of power we're going to be outputting. I'll start off with hard, long life tyres, and then I'll move up as and when it may become necessary. Also, 155s, I may even downsize them to 145s because I'm not going to need a huge amount of tyre. I selected radials even, truth be told. What am I doing here? So, 13s. Cross plies, I believe, will be cheaper if they still fulfill my needs. And I think they will actually. 145. I was considering downsizing to them anyway. I've made the wheels bigger because they look cool. End of. That's why. They look cool. So I've made them bigger. I know it might not be the best reason, but still. Widen the entire body just a little. I don't want to go completely crazy, but this will make it corner better. Again, some muscle car influence is definitely going into this from the time period. Keeping it era relevant, you know. Sure, I'd love to make it look like a 1959 Cadillac, but the fact of the matter is, a 1959 Cadillac is still 10 years old by this point. It would be kind of out of touch with what the public wanted to buy, what the predominant fashion trends were in certain parts of the world which had money. Now, do we want alloys? Alloys would be stupid expensive in the 60s. Even in the 70s, it was only Mercedes that I think bought the first alloy wheels to a production car. But solid disc brakes is something we can do. I think certain muscle cars had solid discs on the front and drum on the back, and for a light vehicle like this it should be fine. I might not even need discs on the front, crazy as that sounds. Now, Steelies. We're going to be able to put some pretty nice looking Steelies on here, just because it's from the time period where steel wheels were very common and manufacturers did tend to dress them up a bit. I don't know what to do though to make this look kind of sporty, kind of luxurious. It's just, how am I going to find that balance? You know? They look good. They're like kind of wire wheels with hubcaps on, if they're chromed the middle. I'm going to try them for now. Oh, no. Yes, no, I don't know. I'm going to try them for now. I'll change them later if they don't work out at all. So, under tray, well, we're not going to have much power, so I'm going to put a fair bit of money into aerodynamics to at least make sure this thing can get to a half decent top speed. We can only go with a +2 on the back, so, you know. Let's go with 0 seats back there, then. Let's just have a strict 2-seater, and then the rear behind the front 2 seats can be used for speakers or storage space, maybe a combination of the two. The interior, the good thing about going the way I am going though, I can make this stuff basic, and there's actually an excuse for it to keep it lightweight. So we could just go with none there. I'm going to go with a basic AM radio. That's to say a very basic radio. Because there's more advanced stuff out there, but it's really just a track car with a few niceties to keep it reasonable on the road, you know, to keep it usable, like the roof and the radio. But it's not supposed to be super sophisticated. Now, we have manual and we have hydraulic steering. I think I'll go with whichever's the best, honestly. So, rack and pinion is quicker to engineer and it costs less than ball steering. Which is lightest? I don't know. Ball may very well be, at this point in time, the best decision to make, though. So again, basic safety. I think it'll be enough. Crazy as it sounds, safety was less important back in the 60s than it is now. Let's be honest. You can't have everything. I'll give it slightly better suspension, but I'm not going hydro pneumatic. A big, complicated system like that is bound to weigh it down. We've got just over 650 kilos. I am pleased with that. I know it's a two-seater, but if we can get the horsepower up, that is light. And if we can get this car to corner too. No, we want it sport. We want this to be definitely sporty. So, light sport budget, good. We are actually in the kind of category we should be in, should I say. It is a light sport budget. I couldn't really ask for more. Now, probably the lack of a wing won't help it. I'm going to do the only thing they knew how to do in the 60s, which was slap some extravagant wing on the back. Again, hailing from the American style way of doing things. It's not like the wing is going to do anything, but it's certainly going to look good. This one looks like the kind of wing you would find on the back of a muscle car, so that's the kind of wing I will desire. We'll go, there we go. Apparently that's the wing we're using. Double wings. All the way across the sky. I think if we squish that down just a little, raise it up. There we go. I don't have any particular protruding pieces of bodywork other than the wheel arches, so, you know, I don't want something that's going to knife blade children's necks. It's not necessarily a good idea. Mainly because we don't want to get sued, but also because we like children. And we don't want to hurt them. We need a bonnet scoop. Little muscle car. Not like the Europeans have a choice. Can't buy Mustangs in Europe. Well, I say that. I don't know. You could probably still import them. There we are. Nope. So, here we return to the engine, where you'll notice, hopefully, a few things have changed. Firstly, it is fuel injected. Secondly, I am using a dual overhead cam header, like on each cylinder bank, and there is good reason for that, actually. You see, we've not got displacement, and I wanted this horsepower. 144 horsepower, there is a good reason why I have gone for that, and that is that this gives me 100 horsepower per ton. Not per ton, sorry. Per litre. I got that eventually. And we've got dual exhaust. I'll explain the reason later. So if I let you hear this. One moment. There we go. Problem rectified. I now have the sound through my headphones. I do think it sounds good, makes good power, and more importantly than any of that, it fits in the lower road tax bracket. So yeah, go figure. I've made something of it. I have also created the 4-cylinder engine, although I may still want to tweak that a bit before finally exporting it. It's almost at Mini Cooper levels, but not quite. And it's not a Mini Cooper S, but that is the economical engine everyone's likely to buy. This is really just a crazy supercar killer, and that's why I've decided to go with fuel injection and all the rest of it. Now, naturally, with the extra power, it did get harder to put such power down, so I was willing to put a clutched LSD on as well. With where it's going to be a true supercar killer, there's not such a problem with me doing that, I don't believe. Ooh, a bit of interior trim showing through there, but I don't believe it's so bad. Yeah, the interior though, to speak of, I have done most of it. I've done it to the point I'm willing to accept. And I have also upgraded the cassette player, because you'll see here it's got all these speakers. It's got a couple of tweeters in the front and some mains lower down. A couple of mains in the back, just behind the rear seats, and some tweeters just in front of the rear seats. It's overall a fairly complete sound system, not to mention in the middle here would be the subwoofer, and I've added some air conditioning and such from a 1980s car, because that's the best I could find for that kind of thing. I've tried to make it look natural though on this dashboard. So overall, I think that looks fairly like a 60s car. I know it uses bits from a late 50s car, but I think I've made it work. Some cars were behind after all. You'll see here, actually, the... does the fuel injection stick up? Maybe it does, because when I had the carburetors it was fine, but, you see, but... the fuel injection definitely sticks up a bit. Right, I was going to say I'm fine with this, but... if that's the case, I'm going to at least fix that problem, because I don't want it to just be so obviously flawed. Anyway, I believe I've done this. I've made it cheaper enough without, like, completely cheapening the whole platform. Ah, this was the other thing. So before exporting, I did want to do this. I have not thought of anything better than I did back then, though, so... just to save a bit of time, I'm going to mirror these and delete the ones on the bonnet. Or just line them up first, to be fair. The idea being here, the front aero is definitely there and it is definitely present, but at least if I line it up like this, it will chuck air out the side and it won't go to giving me loads of front downforce. I also have the rear wing to try and ensure stability. Sadly, there's not actually that much I can do about this. Yeah, it's cutting through there, but I'm willing to tolerate that for now. Mirror it. And then we'll go and delete these. You'll also see I added a little bonnet ornament. That I think is quite nice. That's going to be on this one too. I'm not going to remove that much. But you know, the hints are clear as to which one is the expensive one. This one, you see, air gets pulled in there and just chucked out the side because I don't want it to make downforce with that air. Whereas the bonnet on the other one gives me active downforce. Now, maybe I will still use this platform in the next generation. It's a good platform. So, here I return in BeamNG with what isn't the vehicle I was working on, but there is a good reason why I'm using this. There you'll see the leaf springs on the back, also leaf springs on the front. It is a off-roader of sorts, based somewhat on a Land Rover Defender 90 shell, or, well, a Land Rover series shell actually, because the Defender shell in automation is just so messed up. It has a 3.3 litre inline 5, took a while for me to remember that. As I said, leaf springs front and rear, and it's got a 4x4 system with locking differentials, which I won't be using today. Also, it has no exhaust setup, but I just decided, hey, you know what? This might actually be a good comparison point. Apparently, I have to be in a comfort drive mode. Alright then. As I said, this is about 100 horsepower, but it makes a lot of torque. I think it may be a turbo, but I don't know. Doesn't sound like a turbo. I honestly can't remember. Which is weird because it's my own vehicle, but still. It doesn't corner half bad. We've got 50-50 power split, being a all-wheel drive car, and 4 gears, as you'll see. I just hit top gear there. Wow, this 5-cylinder actually sounds pretty good. I mean, I know I shouldn't be saying this, and it felt like it was about to tip over there. I made this about as refined as I could. I think it's got a cassette player in automation, but again, I didn't get time to change that out on the actual model of the vehicle. And you'll see the dials are far to the right. They are quite odd in that regard. But it feels like I've got a properly rapid movement on with this. Sure, there are bits you can see it's not finished. I've obviously not put as much attention into this vehicle, and it is like the cheaper version of another vehicle. I tried to shift into fifth there, but there's just nothing to give. It seems to top out at 100 miles per hour, which is fine, because as a farmer vehicle, are you really going to go over 100 miles per hour? Would you feel safe going over 100 miles per hour in one of these? I'm not so sure I would. Admittedly, that was my fault, but being an off-roader, I'm able to just get back on the road like that without losing too much time. We are on, I think it's either off-road or all-terrain tyres here, so they are not by any means track tyres. And round these tight corners. This is a 1981, I believe, so about 12 years of development in this, and it's not that much cheaper in BeamNG than the cheaper version of my Sport Coupe thing. So that's to say, because that's supposed to be quite a high-end vehicle, but this has higher quality and it's cheaper, and if it's not even that slow. I did drive this in the Legrand, and the base Legrand, and that was about 3 minutes 10, I think. But that was I only gave myself 2 laps. Quick shift down there in an attempt to get some RPM back. You'll see this is basically a diesel engine though. That was one of the main features. I just enjoy building these kind of low revving diesel type engines in the game. There we go. I don't think it is a turbo actually, because if I remember correctly, I was building it to be simplistic and basic, so, you know, I cut the engine down about as much as I could. I mean, it's sure is a 5-cylinder, not a 4-cylinder, but I did that with good reason. It is pushrod, so, you know, everything on it is cut down about as much as I could cut it down, while still making an okay level of power, and it's somewhat comparable to a Land Cruiser of the time, before they started becoming more luxurious. The Range Rover, however, has kind of always been a luxury car. The Land Cruiser, I think, had more utilitarian routes and then gradually got more luxurious. And then there was less luxurious versions that came along, mid-luxurious versions. They did kind of so many things with the Land Cruiser. Wow, 3 minutes 4. I said it was a base model Legrand, but remember that was a road-going, fairly compact saloon. And this, well, it's a brick designed for farmers to trek across fields with. Yeah, topping out. I feel like it just has more to give. But, as I say, it would make sense if it was capped out this way from the factory just because of its target market. I think, yeah. I'm trying to get this right. I tried to shift down too early. If I can sort that out, but that was much better into that corner than it was on the first lap. Slow it down here. I've just remembered I'm going to have to adjust the camera for the Sport Coupe thing. Nice strong power curve though, I will mention that much. Ah yes, and that lovely 5-cylinder sound. If Volvo designed a Land Rover Defender in the 1980s. Only Volvo didn't design it, Land Rover did. So go figure, it ended up with 4 cylinders and then a V8 later. Shift. Right, I'm going to have to go down to 3rd, which I actually did okay there. It does feel lovely and well balanced to drive, much like some of these can in Forza. They don't all feel lovely and well balanced to drive, but some of these off-road type vehicles actually genuinely do. And it's one of the reasons I chose it, because it seems like something that on the surface of things may seem hopeless, pitting it up against a space-framed fiberglass battleship. Miniaturized battleship. It's still got the 4x4 system to grip round corners, and you see we have done a sub 3 minute time. I still think the lower spec version will beat it with the 700cc engine, but that doesn't mean this is going to be behind it necessarily, just because I think that that's going to become the case. I could be entirely surprised and have this win. After all, look at how fast we're taking this corner out today as I go around at 45 miles per hour, but with rear engine, rear drive, do we know for certain the car is going to be stable? Yes, this engine may weigh down the front end, being a full cast iron unit, but weighing down the front end generally results in a more stable vehicle, either a little understeery, as opposed to a vehicle which is technically quicker, but at the cost of stability. And I know which one I would choose to drive. I would always, any day, choose the car which will give me a pleasant experience. Oh dear, oh dear. Deary me, I've messed that up. Oh well, at least I got a decent second lap. Come on, diesel 5-cylinder. It actually is going. Come on, I'm fully to the right. Are you actually... Wait. Maybe if I disconnect... Whoa! I think I've kind of got it back. I think the front tyres were doing something horrible, but maybe if I also lock the rear diff to try and give me max grip. No, you did not like that. Unless I locked the front grip. I locked the front diff. Okay. I will get this to the end because I know it can do it despite my own stupidity. Feels like I've lost a wheel on the front now completely, but yeah, despite the tough leaf springs, there's only so far I could take it. And oh, a grinding noise! Oh, I'll also mention his body on frame. You've probably worked that out by now, just given the nature of this vehicle, but it is body on frame. I built it, so I should know. I think I added partial aluminium to the panels just because it made it lighter, and I think some of the old Land Rovers do have that. So I decided it weren't too far from reality. Into second. Come on, find some torque and get going. This is going to be an awful lap, but I'm fine with it, you know. I make these mistakes, but I've got a pretty impressive second lap. You know, I feel like I can rest easy because although I did make a few mistakes there, it's still a decent running lap. Over a minute slower. Now let's see. Let's see if we're going free roam and back. Yeah, there's my miles per gallon meter. You can tell I've been having fun. This is actually surprisingly economical though. I believe you can get like 50 miles per gallon, which is just stupidly unrealistic. And I have indeed lost a wheel. Oh dear. It's almost like, I know that should be scraping, but it looks almost like there's so much suspension travel. It isn't. I think it's just like a visual thing, but it looks like an old Citroen where they'd lift the wheels off the ground. Or the wheel, should I say, if it's off. And there's a surprising amount of chassis flex, yeah, I got there eventually, on the front and the back, despite it having basically strips of metal for suspension. Anyway, time to stop dilly-dallying and get on to the main subject of this video. So, I finally have this in BeamNG, as you'll see. Yeah, you might hear down there already. This is only the 4-cylinder version. It sounds evil. Anyway, we've got a decent platform here, I think. I am fearful of oversteer. Anyway, yeah, I had to just reset the car and it didn't want to work. Okay, nobody saw that. Just in case there's any doubt, nobody whatsoever saw it. Or that poor start. Finally got started. Slow down. The brakes actually feel oddly worse than my off-roader in this, which is weird. It's so much lighter. I guess it's the narrow tyres could contribute to that. It feels low though, and it feels sporty. I'll give it that much. Now, we don't have any difference in the number of gears or the type of gearbox. It's a 4-speed manual on both vehicles, and there was a lot of grip on the back of this, I must say. A lot of that will be attributed to it being a rear-engine vehicle, but nonetheless, this is still a grippy vehicle. I could feel it just wanting to step out there, but it wasn't too bad. It's no different from a high-power front-engined rear-drive vehicle. So overall, I can say I feel pretty confident in it. I do trust the vehicle, which isn't bad. I want to shift into fifth though. It tops out like 5-ish miles per hour slower than that farmer vehicle. Now we don't have the power, this feels quick, and it feels so much quicker than that, but I'm sure it isn't so much quicker than that. Oh my, please, please, catch it, catch it. Oh, and there is the disadvantage of rear-wheel drive. I am amazed I managed to catch that though, at all. Without it just, you know, flying into a wall. But it's just, I knew if it did fly into a wall and I couldn't somehow rescue it, even if not turning it the correct direction, then I had to just save it from flying at that wall. Thankfully, I did just about manage to pull it back in and get it going where it was supposed to. But I know there I'll probably go a little more gently on the brakes and slow a little earlier. Seems like the brakes are the very things that can kill people with one of these. But if this one feels so gentle, no, so aggressive already, come on, I should shift down, but I'm just going to let it rev up for now. Get used to the lack of power low down. So I know not to stay there. Come on. I was flooring it there, just so you know, and I was still losing some revs. I think this is something like 60 horsepower, but I can't remember. It escapes me. Ow. Did that knock my right wing mirror? Not wing mirror even, it's a fender mirror. Second. Nice. We've got some good pickup into this powertrain. Feels more like a Formula car of sorts. I would not say Formula 1. It does not feel that quick, but it does have that kind of grip to it. You know, and even in the 60s there were Formula cars, but it sounds amazing too. Although the 5-cylinder didn't sound bad in the and I shouldn't be analysing the sound of this really. I know it's a flat 4 and it should be a V4, but the V4s are just not available in automation as of this point in time, which I am recording the video. However, yeah, just a bit of a lift there, and it's already going around the corner. Basically just took the banking. I didn't brake, I didn't accelerate, I just had a bit of a lift and it rolled with it, which was a decent enough way of doing things. Now remember, it was a 3-minute 30 on that first lap, but I had a pretty big slide, pretty precarious slide, should I say. Oh, I am so excited though for the V8 and what that sound will be. Right, here is where I'm going to have to be careful, because this is where the speed was lost, I believe. Maybe not an entire 30 seconds, but where I did lose a fair bit. Light brake, and into third. There we go. I was considering second, but for a moment there, that might have been why you saw me stay in neutral for longer than I perhaps should. But second was ultimately just a bit too low for the speed I was travelling at, if only a bit. Oh my, I pushed that really close. Feel like I even scraped the side of a car. It was that close. It might almost be like the what was it called? It's something 3C. Utility 3C. And it might be like that in the respect that Oh, this is just as far as I can push it. Yeah, the rear bit me there. I was able to save it before it evolved into anything dangerous, but it did bite. And yeah, it could have turned into something a lot more detrimental, should I say, to the time. Mind you, I think keeping it in third is overall a good idea here, because it means I'm putting out just the right amount of power for the grip available. Ow! Yeah, the 3C would have just gone over those, no issue, because it's an off-roader. Whereas this, you feel them. Sure, the suspension comfort over them is actually okay for the type of vehicle that this is, but a bit of a bite there, but a much smaller one. It did eventually regain grip. But yeah, this is slower. Although a 314 doesn't seem bad. The base model Legrand was just about quicker than this. But that's a car with more power than this, quite significantly. This car is not meant to be a supercar killer by any stretch. If the V8 is still struggling to beat the... the utility 3C, I will be seriously concerned, but that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. I'm spending a lot of time in third gear here, though, not even using a full power, just because I know I can push the car harder, really. Yeah, I feel like that's perhaps the quickest there. I wasn't even lifting for most of the corner, I was accelerating. Right, now, I've set that good lap. I have to just try so hard to improve on it without getting so far and pushing the vehicle out. Right, I'm hitting the top speed. That's good. Although, even that is kind of a death sentence, because even if it was good everywhere else, it has its limits. So we'll go into third. Come on. No, 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 no. Doing a groovy dance and actually eventually saving it. That was about as quick as I could go while losing control, though. I can say that now. Any more speed into that corner, and it would have just, the back end would have just begun to spin like it did on the first lap. It's a bit of a death trap, but as far as I remember, rear-wheel drive cars have always had that nature when rear-engined cars have always had that nature when you're just pushing on a bit too far. And also the speakers look a bit asymmetrical, although they're not. I just realised that. Well, these front dashboard mounted speakers, or kind of dashboard mounted speakers, really look asymmetrical, but they're just not asymmetrical, they are perfectly symmetrical. Should I be in fourth? Probably not. I'm just getting so distracted and so scared. Yeah, that's an interesting way to take that corner, and a way I hadn't done yet. There were parts of that one that were very good, but overall the second lap was the best. And I can say, it's clear it's slower than an early 80s off-roader. That thing just, it was too predictable, too nice to drive, and it had more high-end speed. However, the full V8 supercar killer, I wonder how that will do. And here we have it. It's a lot more web happy, as I'll let you hear. Yeah, it also has a teeth on the back. Anyway, without further ado, the interior is basically the same. I will just reset the car to bring all the stuff up, and hopefully we will be able to get underway. Not like that. Right, it does seem like some wood has appeared on the dash, so I don't know, maybe resetting it did something. Or maybe I'm just imagining it, I don't know. Anyway, we have got going, and this does feel better. It feels actually soft around the corners and like it's rolling more readily, but also feels grippier. Power! Come on, use that V8. You're a Formula car now. I'm so scared. Which you should be. It's a Formula racing car, apparently. It thinks it is, at least. Right, use a trick I learned on the other one, which is you can carry a surprising amount of speed through here. Oh my, I could just feel the back end beginning to slide there, and I was thinking if that had got any worse, I would not know what to do with it, honestly. It is surprisingly good when you consider that this car has 1960s technology. It's not a bad thing to drive, but it's just so much difficulty keeping it under control. Hey, think of a good side though. You don't have to pay the higher tax band just because the engine's a bit smaller. I just screamed. I don't even mean anything. It's like I think I'm getting so involved with the game that I actually believe I'm gonna die if this thing slides into the barrier. Oh no. So immersive when you've got a 55-inch monitor. Which is too big, but you know, OLEDs are just that expensive. Or at least they were for a while. Come on, please. Slow, slow, slow. Ah! I am so scared of this. I mean, the engine is more rev happy, as I think I said at the start. It actually kind of doesn't sound as good. Or maybe I'm just distracted by everything else going on. But I'm going to try keeping it in third. It feels really like it needs a fifth gear, but it probably doesn't. It is a supercar killer after all. So why should we need to fall to using that level of technology? Oh my. Bit of a slide there. Under the brakes, but it's okay. That was easy enough to capture under when I lifted off the brakes. Again, it had a bit of a slide there, but I was able to rectify the issue by just snap steering back the other way. I'm not even looking at how fast I'm going. I can't. There's so much going on. Again, I'm like ramping my hands the other way as well. I'm not sure, I don't think there's anything showing the steering inputs, but that's something I'm having to do. Oh my, oh my, oh my, please. A bit of wiggle on the back there, and I feel if I was closer to the barrier it could have been properly detrimental to the time. I had just enough distance to get away with it. 2:45, that is quick. And to think that's like from a standing start. This is fast. It's every bit as fast as I'd hope. The other one isn't. The other one is actually, compared to this, a bit of a disappointment. And this just began to slide. I don't think I was even at 100 miles per hour there and it began to slide. Oh my, I'm scared. Alright, so I'm going out wide here a little. Didn't hit the rumble strip, surprisingly enough. I thought I was right in line to tap that with my front right tyre, but all the better for the tyres, for the stability of the beast that I didn't. Sorry, I messed the clutch up there, and I was believing I hadn't shifted into second, but I had. It was a perfect shift, actually, maybe a bit too perfect. It makes you feel kind of like a legend when you're driving it. maybe you're not a legend, you know, you could probably easily beat this time in one of the game's hill climb vehicles, but it makes you feel amazing. I don't think any supercar of this era could make you feel this way, though, driving it. And I'm kind of doing some rallycross, but that's okay. Right, going across here. There we are. Managed to get it in, because I don't want to damage the suspension on my final lap. Or for my final lap, should I perhaps say. Right, lift off there. There we go. Oh dear. I was going to say I think there was a hidden dip in the road. Because I was going to say I learned from my mistake there. And although, no, it didn't really lose me any time, I was able to correct for the issue. The car just lost grip and didn't quite know what to do. I believe the rear tyres are only 135 or something. They are not that massive. Mind you, that only adds to the excitement. And perhaps adds to the amount of time I'm losing. Although I say that, yeah. It's quick. I think I'm basically on the limits of what I can get away with right now. You may have heard the tyres squeal. Yeah, that was them just on the edge line of where the grip is. And they did not want to grip. They wanted to let go and kill me. But I didn't let them. Right, I'm going to go try take the ideal racing line here so it doesn't snap out and kill me like it did on the second lap. Want to do. Go a bit light on the brakes. Trying to balance the brakes and the accelerator and other inputs. Yeah, it jarred a bit under the acceleration. I may have sprung it a little softer than ideal for that, but you know, we've got to practically factor in ride comfort and other such factors. Again, that didn't feel ideal, but it felt like I made it through at speed. I feel like I know what I'm doing with this. And again, the last one, weirdly, was the one that's more likely to kill me. Because this, you know exactly what's happening underneath you. The other one, it kind of seemed random in how it did bite. And the top end on this as well, it's like, yes, you can hit the very top end. The gears are a little on the tighter side, but they're not so much on the tighter side. There we go. I skipped that curve. But they're not so much on the tighter side that you can't use them. Under 2 minutes 40, so we're almost 20 seconds ahead of that other BCC. The, what was it called? Utility 3C, that's it. Get rid of that. Yeah. This is such a fine, elegant vehicle. I do believe it has, proper downforce too, which helps. Are these drum brakes, I wonder? I can't remember what I put on. I think there's discs front and rear. Let's hear it go. Wow, it sounds amazing. Wait, this is making 140 horsepower from a 1.4? Yeah, it's a crazy thing, alright. And man, do I have plans for this in the future. But for now, I'm going to call it a day. I'm happy with this as it's come out, you know, even if... Wait, does Sports... Actually, that's interesting. Sports that doesn't show from the inside. Yeah, I'm getting distracted with needless things. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here for today. And until next time, I'm going to say goodbye until another day.